Manjushri Kumara Bhutaya. I will explain the idea of Sandhi, which in grammar is often called Saṁhitā in traditional texts, and this refers to the occurrence of two sounds, one next to each other, without any interruption. When two sounds are pronounced next to each other, some changes might occur. These changes are meant to make it easier to pronounce them. So either one of them might change, or both of them might change, even merging into a different sound. All these possibilities are available. Sandhi is a feature of most languages in terms of how we pronounce them. So let's look at a simple example in Sanskrit. When we have a plus e, the result is a. So for example, when we have tathā plus eva, the result will be tathaiva. What this means is that we should have sufficient familiarity with Sandhi to be able to recognize that when we see tathaiva, this is actually two different parts of speech, namely tathā and eva. So being able to recognize Sandhi allows us to recognize what are the actual parts of speech occurring in a sentence. Let us look at one example of Sandhi in English. When we have the article the, it is pronounced in two different ways, whether it occurs before consonants or before vowels. When we have the same article in front of a consonant, we say the mother. But if it is in front of a vowel, we say the apple. Now, this is not represented in writing. This difference between the and the is not represented in writing in English. We write the exact same spelling. We could represent it in writing by employing extended phonetic alphabet. So you can see it here. Here the difference is only the vowel sign. This represents the, so the sound, and this represents I, the I sound, the. Now, this is precisely what Sanskrit does. Sanskrit records differences of Sandhi in writing. So here are some simple examples. If we have the word buddhaḥ followed by bhagavān, the aha changes to o. So buddhaḥ plus bhagavān becomes buddho bhagavān. Normally, a traditional way to explain a sentence would be that first of all we give the splitting of the words. This is called padacchedaḥ in Sanskrit. Therefore, for buddho bhagavān, we would read buddhaḥ bhagavān, and the convention is in that case to use a comma between the two words. In case of a compound, when we do the padacchedaḥ, we use a hyphen. So for example, sarva-saṁskārā anityāḥ. When we do the padacchedaḥ, it is sarva-saṁskārāḥ, common, anityāḥ. Sandhi is compulsory in three cases. when Sandhi occurs within a single word, Saṁhitā pade anityāḥ. When it occurs between the verbal root and the pre-root, the upasarga, anityāḥ dhātu upasargayoho. When it is within a compound, anityāḥ samāsa. But it is optional when it is between words within a same sentence. So, vākye tu sa vivakṣāṃ apekṣate. That means that although the modern editorial convention is to regularize Sandhi, we shouldn't think necessarily that when Sandhi is not applied within a sentence, it is, strictly speaking, a mistake. In the beginning, it is perhaps easiest to become acquainted with Sandhi by having somebody offering the padacchedaḥ. So, for example, in these lessons, I will usually offer padacchedaḥ for all the sentences that we study. As this is one example, if the expression buddho bhagavān appears, then I will offer the padacchedaḥ in the form of buddhaḥ bhagavān. And in this way, one can become acquainted with Sandhi somewhat naturally, and after some time, it is not difficult to recognize at least most of the Sandhis. Another way could be to learn all the Sandhi rules. This takes some time and perhaps it's not ideal for beginners. Another way is to use Sandhi grids. So, Sandhi grids are not so difficult to use. To give you an example, earlier we had buddhaḥ bhagavān resulting in buddho bhagavān. So, when you look at the permitted finals for buddhaḥ, buddhaḥ would correspond to this. The initial letter that follows is bhagavān. So let's see where that is. Here it is, bha. Therefore, the result is going to be o, buddho bhagavān. This is how the consonant Sandhi grid works. The vowel grid is similar, except that what you have here, what is indicated as the result, is actually how the two sounds are going to appear, rather than how the final sound is going to appear, the final sound of the first word. So, for example, we had tathā plus eva. So, tathā, the a would be here, and then we had eva, the a would be here. So, we go like this, and the result of a plus a is I. That's why we have tathaiva, the initial example. I hope this gives a general idea of what we mean by Sandhi. As I said, perhaps the easiest way is to rely on someone to provide the splitting of the Sandhi in the beginning, so that one can acquire a minimal familiarity with the language, and this is what I am going to do